good evening and welcome to Tev's Next Idea. And we are streaming. This time, this is not a Twitch stream. Uh, we just need to do the final all cast review session, which I took a quick look at, and I found out it's only about like 10 or 15 minutes long, and it's not really something that I'm going to set up a whole stream for. But I do want to finish out this playthrough, so I'm just going to go through this and post it. So we have a full game session of Higurashi, When They Cry Who, Chapter 1. And let's go to extras, and let's start it, and let's see what this is all about. Thank you for buying Higurashi When They Cry, Onakakushi. A visual novel by 7th Expansion. How was it? If you enjoyed it even a little bit, it would make me happy. Even a little bit is stretching it. That's incredibly dark ending made me angry, you know. Made us angry. As I understand it, this Onakaushi chapter is supposed to be somewhat of a prologue to the entire series. So this game that just took us like 14 to 16 hours to go through is just the prologue to about like 8 more chapters that are all about the same length. This is going to be fun. How could the prologue have such an incredibly dark ending? Especially when our protagonist dies. Yeah, but doesn't that happen sometimes? The player digging through the story in order to avoid a bad ending is the point of these types of games after all. It's still just the first chapter. I'm looking forward to the next one. What happens in the next chapter? Rena, do you know? Yeah, they said that the next chapter will introduce another aspect of the story. That's a strange way of putting it. What does that mean? I like it how Satoko sounds like, I don't know, a rough and tumble little guy. But as you can see, they're all like breaking the fourth wall. They're talking as though they're all actors in a play. In this chapter, they introduced a string of mysterious deaths that were happening in Hinamizawa recently, right? The next chapter will introduce some of the history of Hinamizawa. With one strange event happening after another, I got totally lost. What exactly is Oyashiro-sama's curse about? Actually, what is Oyashiro-sama to begin with? They didn't explain it much. I haven't heard much about it, but I kind of have a bad feeling about it. It feels like it'll be another one of those scary stories where somebody gets cursed again. Tough luck, eh, Ki-chan? What kind of curse is he gonna get hit with this time? However, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of story it's going to be. Sorry for being late. My bad. Hey, everybody. Good work today. Same to you. Huh? Where's Ki-chan? Kichi-kun is already off reading the script for next chapter. It must be hard being the main character. Huh? That's too bad. He could have at least poked in to say hello. Also, how can you be the main character in a story that follows a prologue where you basically were killed? Or at least we assume you were killed. It's probably because he doesn't have any character art, so he couldn't poke his head in even if he wanted to. Rika-san said that we refer to as a personal problem. In any case, that story really was a lot of trouble, especially for Kichi-kun and Rena-chan. Trouble? That was the mother of all bad ends. I wonder, what was the identity of the thing that attacked Teiichi-kun? My theory was that it was the work of people made to look like a curse. But at the end, Kichi made that phone call. Yeah, I also thought that call was strange. At that point, Keyshawn should have been certain that the culprits were people. That really was a strange phone call. It almost sounded like he was being chased by a ghost or something. Just from that phone call, it really makes me think that it was all the work of a curse after all.
Since we're all here, why don't we all share our theories? Let's start with Sonozaki-san.
I absolutely believe it was people. I think it was a man-made incident that was just imitating the strange folklore floating around Hinamizawa. Certainly, every year on the day of the festival, for another link in the chain of mysterious deaths to happen certainly is suspicious. That so-called chain of mysterious deaths is definitely somebody trying to reenact the folklore. Definitely. I think it was the curse. Looking at the scene where Kiichi-san went berserk in the entryway, and the last scene with the phone call, I just couldn't come to the conclusion that a person was the culprit. When you say it that way, it really wasn't the type of scene that would make you think it was the work of an actual person.
Yeah, but even then, I still think it was a person who did it.
That last scene and the one at the entryway, I think it might have been a delusional episode, brought about by post-traumatic stress disorder. I wouldn't know what's going on anymore, even if you didn't use such complicated words. In other words, Kiichi was so scared that he was imagining things. Then, what was the meaning behind that scene? What exactly was that mysterious presence behind Kiichi? A red herring? Redherring? Mishan, what do you mean by a red herring? Like old man Tomataki here said, that scene was the result of Kichan having a stress-induced delusion from being mentally cornered. To expand on that a bit further, it was a ploy to make the player think it was a curse. That's why it was a red herring. Oh, now they're trying to trick us. Give us no choices and just trick us. Oh, when you say it like that, but.
Ha ha ha. Well, it just means that there's that possibility.
In that case, the theory that Oishi-san proposed during the story that it was a conspiracy by the villagers was correct? What does the man himself have to say about that?
Me? Ha 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 ha. It makes you think, eh?
Huh? I totally thought that Oishi-san would be behind the people explanation.
During the story, I said it was definitely the work of people. But if a person really was to blame, that leaves a lot of loose ends.
Like what? Let us hear what Detective Oishi-san's theory is.
First of all, if a human is the culprit, then there has to be a motive. In other words, somebody has to gain something from it.
So, what you mean is, if this was the work of people, there would have to be something gained from causing the chain of mysterious deaths.
Exactly. I felt that somebody could have benefited from the deaths of people related to the dam development, but the recent victims weren't related to that at all. First of all, who benefits from killing Keiichi-kun?
I see. If you say it like that, my case is kind of weak too. I mean, none of your money was stolen. There's no way it was human culprits. But that's not everything there is to it, right? Like Mishan just said, there might have been some sort of reason for them to reenact the folklore. Exactly. This wasn't a murder where you consider the typical motives. It makes me think that this was most likely some sort of ritualistic murder to reenact the blood-stained history of the village. So I'll ask the question of the hour. Who gains from this reenactment? It's not about simple benefit, it's a more psychological reason. I think that maybe this was an act of revenge, something native to the region. Fate was unable to be fooled this time around.
I see. A member of some repressed family looking to air out an old grudge of their ancestors? Something like that? I don't like that.
Then what is it? It couldn't be that you're leaning towards the curse explanation, Oishi-san. That's right, that's right. The man playing the detective said so. It's decided. It was a curse.
The man playing the detective. If, like how Mayabara-san said during the story, it was the case that Oyashiro-sama possessed Rena-san and Sonozaki-san and committed those acts, that would fit the evidence the most, as much as I hate to say it.
Actually, I'm of the same opinion as Oishi-san. I can't come up with any other explanation for the normally kind Rena and Mishan to suddenly start acting strange like that. About that, it may sound strange coming from the person herself, but I think that Mion, did it. I don't get what Mi is saying. I'd like an explanation. Oh, sorry. In other words, I think this may end up being a really cruel story. Huh? Wait, Mishan, you don't mean... If you follow the trail of evidence to the very end, that's how it would seem. I also have my suspicions.
In other words, Rena-san and Sonozaki-san both actually had those personalities to begin with, and were merely deceiving Mayabara-san. Am I right?
I don't like that at all. Wah! This is all the curse's fault. Rena-san and Mia-san and everybody else are all kind, nice people.
Okay, this is going a little longer than I thought it was going to go.
I think that too. I think that Rena and Mion-san are really good people at heart. I think that during the story, they definitely were possessed by something. So, Rena also thinks it was a curse. Then let me ask everyone who thinks it was a curse. There has to be a reason for a curse, right? I don't think there would be something indiscriminately cursing everything. Can somebody explain that? A curse is a curse. Human logic won't get us anywhere.
Ah, Satoko-san. A personified deity is, in the end, nothing more than a creation of people. That's why their method of thinking is also understandable to humans. Just take a look at the Greek pantheon. They cry, get angry, get jealous. Basically, they're just like humans.
So what you're saying is that Oyashiro-sama is cursing people with some benefit in mind.
That's an odd way of putting it, but basically, yes. That's why they say, far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. You do have a point.
Basically, it doesn't matter if it's Oyashiro-sama or humans. There has to be a reason. But Rika, what if that reason isn't clear? I don't know. That's right. This is still just the prologue. There's still a lot of stuff that hasn't been revealed yet. Like 300 hours of stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with any more theories at this point.
No, I won't be satisfied until all of it is made clear. Mion-san seems rather particular about this as well. We'll just make the best with what we know. Doesn't this feel interesting? Like the club a little bit? Yeah. If you put it that way, it does seem interesting.
Well then, let's summarize. Let's see. I think it was a curse. Tomataki-kun thinks it was people, right?
Yeah, I'll go with it for being people. I also agree with the people explanation. That's not to say I hate such fantastic things like curses, But in this particular case, the connection to a curse is a little weak.
Two for the people explanation then. Renaissance was on the curse side of things, right?
Yep, Satoko-san and I believe it was a curse, right? Yeah, I think it was a curse. People who say that Renaissance and Mion-san were evil to begin with are more befitting of a curse. Well, I don't want to believe that my own personality was that twisted, but I have to be cool when I'm in club mode. If I base my choice on just emotion, I'll regret it, you know.
Well now, it doesn't really matter which side you pick, does it?
Huh? Rikishan hasn't said anything yet. What do you think? I don't think that Oyashiro-sama is a bad god.
Huh? That's an interesting opinion.
I don't want to worship some bad god that just curses people. I'd like a generous god more than one that curses.
Don't we all? Don't we all? In fact, that is what God is like.
That's right, Rikishan. It's a shrine maiden. Yep, good opinion. Then what? If Rikishan doesn't believe that it was Oyashiro-sama, then do you think the perpetrators were human after all? We'll just go with that.
Well now, that means the votes are split right down the middle. So half of us think it was a curse, and half of us think it was people?
Renaissance, just for reference, what did the test players who played the beta version think?
Okay, we're really digging deep here, aren't we?
Yeah, there were a lot more players who believed in the people explanation. See, right there. Our veteran comrades are cool, collected, and very observant. But the Veda version only finished partway through the story. That's right. Even the people who play the beta might change their mind if they got through to the very end. What should we do then? This means that the opinions are still split. It's no fun if we don't settle this. How about play the rest of the games?
We need there to be an odd number of judges, in other words.
We need one more opinion. Ah, perfect timing then. Why don't we ask Kiichi-kun himself? Let's call him. Let's not say we did. The opinion of the victim himself is very valuable. Since that's decided, it's time for the phone. Hello? Kiichi-kun? It's Rena. Are you busy with work right now? Yeah, really busy. Just when I thought I'd get a break because the chapter's over, it's already time for the next one. Well, we'll see about that. How's Keyshawn? Busy? Yeah, he's moping. I can hear you, you know. It must be nice having a wrap-up party. I wanted to go too. You can come if you get some character art for yourself. Rika, that's a secret. Ooh. Ah, sorry about that, Kiichi-kun. Anyways, during the current chapter, Kiichi-kun, didn't you die? We were just talking about who the culprit might be. Basically, we're deadlocked on whether it was people or Oyashiro-sama's curse that killed you. I'm really sorry, even though you're busy reviewing the script. Kiichi-kun, what do you think it was? That's obvious, isn't it? Which? Isn't it both of them? Targeted by suspicious people from the village and then cursed by some strange Oyashiro-sama on top of that? It's both humans and a curse. Everybody's just picking on me. So very, very pitiful. Next time, I'll pat you on the head for you. In the end, the opinion's still split, huh?
I think it's over. I think this over again. We might have missed something.
Well then, please look forward to the next release, Higurashi When They Cry, Watanagashi. And that is the wrap-up party with the full cast. So it was more just a preview and some brainstorming, what we were all thinking with no real answers. So that was fun. I think I'm going to. There we go. I think I am going to maybe try to stream some more action-based things. Like I was playing some. Oh, Tomb Raider 2, the old Tomb Raider 2, the remastered version, and I might run a few games of that before we ever get back into Higurashi. And also, I just upgraded my VR headset to a Meta 3, and I know I have uh, the next two versions of I Expect You to Die. I've already played I Expect You to Die 1, and that should be posted on my YouTube channel. But I want to go through 2 and 3 and try to record that as well. So, uh, this is Terrence for Tev's Next Idea. You can see that at tevsnextidea.blogspot.com, or I also write faith-based articles over at half-air.com. And as always, I will leave you with, if you have some opinions of God, and you're not already a Christian, I just would suggest that maybe some of those opinions could be wrong, and you might be surprised at what God is really like. So check him out. Check out my website. I have some good resources in the sidebar or some of my articles. But until next time, this is Terrence saying thanks for watching.